Welcome to Take 5, your 5-minute inspirational message from Solid Rock Drogheda. Newspaper headlines are a funny thing. You ever read a headline in a newspaper and it really makes you want to read that story, and other times you read a headline and you really think, no, I'm not interested in that at all. And some headlines are really corny, some are really dramatic, some are downright deceitful, and some are really quite clever. Well, I saw a headline on the BBC News website about 4 weeks ago, and the headline said, "Fisherman lands first ever lost Lego shark." Now, I have to say, I'm interested in nature. I'm interested in animals. I'm interested in fish. I keep 3 tanks of tropical fish in my house, and I'm interested in sharks. You know, I've read up a lot on sharks, watched a lot of documentaries on sharks, something just fascinating about them, even if they're a bit scary at times. I've heard of many different kinds of sharks, and they keep finding these deep sea creatures and some kinds of sharks that live way, way down at the bottom of ocean trenches that are sharks I've never heard of before. So when it said this fisherman had landed the first ever lost Lego shark, I thought, my goodness, that's a species of shark I've never heard of before. I wonder what that is. I wonder why they call it that. Is it sort of got a square-shaped head, or why would they call it a Lego shark? So I clicked on to read the story, and it wasn't quite what I thought it was going to be. A fisherman fishing 20 miles south of Penzance in Cornwall. Cornwall is about the most westerly point in Cornwall, or Penzance is about the most westerly point in Cornwall. But about 20 miles south of there, this fisherman pulled up his nets and found a shark lying on top of the nets. Now that does happen with fishermen. You know, you pull up the nets and there's a fish trapped on top. But this was not a big shark. It was literally a Lego piece. Now, he was fishing, a shark was full of monkfish and sole and dories that he was fishing for there. But there's this Lego piece in the shape of a shark, sat on top of his fishing nets. And the fisherman recognized it because as a child, 25 years ago, he had a Lego set with sharks and he had one just like it. He says, as soon as I saw that face looking at me, I knew what it was. And so here he picks up this shark, this Lego shark, lands his catch, gets everything back to the dock and everything else, does what he's supposed to do as a fisherman. And then he rings up something called the Lego Lost at Sea project. Now, I've heard of many different initiatives and projects, but I have never heard of the Lego Lost at Sea project. But there really is such a thing. And apparently it's because there was a cargo ship that way back in February 1997, just off the coast of Land's End, a cargo ship was hit by very severe storms, and some shipping containers were washed off the ship and lost at sea. And one of those shipping containers was full of pieces of Legos, or as my American friends call them, Legos. They'll say, I stood on a Lego, whereas we in this side of the Atlantic would say, I stood on a piece of Lego. But anyway, there were 4.7 million pieces of Lego in this container that was washed overboard 27 years ago. And apparently it's become a real thing of people finding these pieces of Lego on beaches and logging them on at the Lego Lost at Sea project. And there's people there. And there's actually a serious end to this, because they're working out how the ocean currents work and how something that landed in the sea at one location, how these little pieces of Lego can end up carried by the currents to somewhere else. And apparently they found Lego pieces off that shipping accident. They found them in the Isle of Man. They found them in the Channel Islands. They've found them in Wales, and even here in Ireland they've washed up on beaches here. But this is the first time apparently ever that they've found one of the Lego sharks from that lost shipping container. And so the headline wasn't quite what I thought. I thought it was great this fisherman had found some species of shark that had never been discovered before, but instead he had found a piece of Lego. I find it absolutely fascinating that people would invest so much time and trouble into tracking pieces of Lego that got washed off a ship 27 years ago. Very often when we lose something, we just say, well, that's it. It's gone. There's no getting it back. But sometimes people really have a determination to find that which is lost. And here, this piece of Lego, this Lego shark, is an example of how far people will go to find that which is lost. My Bible tells me about a God who has an infinite patience to win back that which is lost. That the shepherd who would leave the 99 sheep and go and get the one sheep that was lost and bring it back safely to the fold. And I'm so glad that when I was lost, when my life was far from Jesus, when I was a lot of people would have looked at me and said, well, he's gone, there's no hope for him anymore. But God kept looking. God found me, God saved me, and God brought me back again. And to me, that's even more amazing and much more precious than people hunting for pieces of Lego for 27 years. Thank you for joining us for this Take 5 today. Join us again tomorrow for another Take 5, your 5-minute inspirational message from Solid Rock Drogheda.